All right. So this session is being recorded. Um, I I think I'm already sharing my screen. Yes. All right. So let's start from where we left last session. So if you run your program, so you will see something like such, where we have a game called Brick Breaker, and then we were able to have put a ball on the screen and the ball moves, so does a slider. And the last thing we did was when the ball hits the slider, it bounces back. So I hope all of you are on the same uh, page here and have at least this working. If not, let me know before we start building upon it. So one thing we notice is when the ball falls off the screen, nothing happens. We can still keep moving the slider, but then ideally the game should stop. And that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to start with today, is to stop the game when the ball falls off the screen. So let's
Great.
get to um, coding.
For
And
some reason, nothing shows up on mine.
nothing shows up on your screen.
Like if I run my code, it just starts. It opens a new screen. It says Brick Breaker, but it's blank.
Is it grayed out?
Hmm. Like
Is
it
it
doesn't
all
have
gray?
a background or anything on there. It creates another screen, but
Okay. So it's a gray colored box, right? It doesn't have the
yeah, it
animation on it.
doesn't have like the background or the ball or the thing. Even though I coded all of those things in.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have seen that sometimes. Let me see what fixes that. So for me,
Yeah, IntelliJ has been having an issue today. Like a lot of my friends who we were trying to do our robotics thing and IntelliJ wasn't working for them.
so what has worked for me in past is if I have multiple screens and when I drag the grade box onto a second screen, it starts working. But how can we make it work default? Did it work for you last session?
No, it didn't. But my mic wasn't working, so I really couldn't say anything. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, Actually, I had the same problem in the last session too. What I did was, um, it was working at first, and when I added a new code to it and ran it, it didn't work. So I just cut the code and I ran, and the old screen came up, and then I repasted the code and I ran it again. It worked fine. But I had to do it every time. Every time I add a code, I have to run it first. It won't work. I have to take out the code, run it, and then repaste the code and then run it. It worked for me. Like,
Okay. Give me one moment. I'm just looking up online if there's a easier fix for that. Are there any ideas on how we can solve this problem? Maybe PK, are you looking online and see?
Yeah, actually, I saw
Uh,
few of the comments. Most of the people reported it, and the IntelliJ didn't respond, and some were like uh, just uninstall and install IntelliJ, or it might be because of the system that you are working on. Those were the comments. But there were I couldn't find a like an particular solving issue and particular thing to solve this issue.
okay, I think I found it. All right. So hopefully this will work. Uh, yeah. So in your brick breaker game .java file, uh, you must have this line after the resizable as false. Uh, take that from there and put it at the very end of the start game method. So earlier it was right there, set visible as true. So remove it from there and make it the last statement in the code. And now save it and then run it. See if that helps.
So it's just like the background still doesn't show up or like anything. Like I still get a screen that says brick breaker, but it's just blank.
Can you share your screen?
Sure. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. So when you run it, wait a minute. So what is that error that you get?
You're talking about this error down here?
Yeah, yeah. So scroll all the way up. Import exception.
Oh gosh.
Very interesting. Okay, can you run this one time?
Sure.
Did anything open at all?
Yeah, hold on. It's not showing it. Hold, let me stop sharing and share again.
Yeah. Looks like there's a bug in the code. Um,
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see my screen. So this is all that shows up basically.
yeah, looks like your code has a bug. That's why it's printing so many things. So what is going on is, can you copy paste that entire thing? Like stop your program, copy paste that entire thing into the chat window.
This entire thing? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So looks like you're missing something, and the window starts, but then it's not able to draw anything on it, and that might have some. Well, looks like it's a lot.
Yeah, it
Maybe
like
just
heating itself.
yeah, maybe like copy one exception and paste it. Everything else must just be a duplicate of it.
Okay.
PK, can you take a look and see what the complaint is complaining
Yes.
about?
Yes.
Did it work?
Hi.
Yeah. Well, not really.
I think it has only few lines, not many.
Yeah, it's not complete. Okay. Hmm. Ali, I'll send you the code for what I think must be wrong, and just copy paste that whole thing. And uh, well, looks like there's a limit on how much I can paste here. So never mind. How else can I send you the code? Mm. So it looks like there is something missing in in this file,
Yeah.
and what happens is every time the timer expires, it calls the paint method, and then something is not right there. That's why your code is not able to
Where is that?
display anything. Uh, it's in the gameplay.java class, but I'm not able to paste it in the chat. Is because there's a limit on
Hmm.
how much can be pasted. Wait, hold on. It's the okay. Uh, show show the error again. Click on run. Yeah, hold on. Scroll down.
Oh, it's
It's
fine.
slow. Okay, wait. Gameplay.java line 77. So yeah, that's where the problem is. So go to slider class, the draw method, paint to off screen. Okay, scroll down. The draw method is that. Slider XY, slider width and height. Give me 1 second. Let me compare that if those numbers are right or not. Slider width and height. Y and X. Your slider X is 310. Height is 8. Width is 100. Minus 50. Okay, that looks good to me. Wait, move right, hold on. So move right, slider X. Width minus slider width. Um,
I pasted a document link. Both of you can access it. Prakash, you can paste the code there and you can copy it from there.
okay, so I'm going to copy paste the entire slider code. Oh, wrong place. Uh, Java. What? So access the document and see if you can like copy paste the whole thing. Why did I turn that? Okay, now run the program. No, okay, stop it. Let's see where the problem is now. You can stop the program. gameplay line 77 again. So go to that gameplay line 77. Line 77 is that. Why is it doing so? Okay, let me copy paste the gameplay.java content and then replace your gameplay.java with all of this code. Um, so this is at the end of the document. I'll call it gameplay.java is now try copying and pasting that there. Hopefully, I'll also copy paste the ball.java just in case. Okay, and hold on. So let's also update your ball.java class. Now, at the end of the document, there is this ball.java. Copy that and I've not put it there yet. Okay, there it is. Yeah, replace that as well. All right, save it, run it. Hopefully, it will work. Yay! There it is. Now use your arrow keys and see if the ball bounces off your slider. It does, right? All right. So looks like there was some problem somewhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's resume our program today. So, give me one moment. Where were we last time? Okay, so we all have our game working so far, and the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to end the game when the ball falls off the screen. Right? That looks like a simple add-on. So essentially, when the ball falls off the screen, the game should end, right? So how should the game end? So let's say there goes and blah blah blah, and then just falls off. We should just say game over, whatever score, and then press enter to restart, right? So we'll do something like such. So how do we do that? Is we go to gameplay, and you can recall we had this check on gameplay. So in the paint method, we have in all of this. Now here we'll check if the ball, its current y is beyond so essentially what we saw was the drawing starts at the left corner out here, and then as we go towards the right, the x coordinate increases in positive integers, and as you go down the y coordinate increases. So when will the ball fall off the screen is when the ball's y coordinate is more than the coordinate of the slider, right? So once the ball has missed the slider, it's going to fall off the screen. So that's what we're going to check is what is the current position of ball, and has it crossed the height of the whole game. So how do we check that? We'll say if the ball that we have, its y position is greater than the height of our game minus slider dot slider height, right? So we said that if the ball falls off this, the top line of the slider, anything below that is considered game over. So that's why we do the total height of the game minus height of the slider is a way to check that. Uh, what happens when the ball falls off the slider? So the game stops. So first of all, the play becomes false. The game is no more running, right? Secondly, where should the ball go? It should just instead of ball kind of keeps being updated, we can say ball dot direction x is 0, so ball won't move. Ball dot ball direction y is 0. So we are saying ball doesn't move in any direction, right? D dot set color. So we want the game over to be in red, right? So we'll first, so we have this graphics pen. We'll call it G. So we'll first set the color of the pen to red so that we can write with it. So we'll say set the color to red. Is color dot red, right? So we have a red pen now, and with that we're going to write. We'll say G dot set font, but write in what font? So we'll have to first give it a font. So new font, and what is the family of font? We'll say serif, serif, and that's the family of font to be used. What should be it should be a font in bold letters. And let's make it appear as a bigger font. So we'll give it a 30 pixel size. And once we have that, we have the font, we have the color. We'll say g dot draw string, and then we say game over score. What is the score? So the score is whatever the variable score holds. And where should we show it? We'll try to show it around the center of the screen. So we'll say 190 by 300. Right. So this is our X is 190 pixels from left and then 300 pixels from top. That's where we show this game overs and then the score, right? Now we'll see, we also want to show how to restart the game. So we'll say press enter to restart. And you'll notice that our slider continues to move. When the game is over, maybe we can also not move the slider, but it's fine, doesn't matter. So if you would if you would like to not let the user move the slider, this is where you would put that logic. But we at present we don't care, so we'll leave it as it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to show this text here which says press enter to restart. So we'll say set font, our color is already red, but now we need to show it in a smaller font, right? So we'll change the font. We'll say new font, family is same family of fonts. And should it be bold? Yeah, we can actually make it bold. Doesn't hurt. And let's do it at a smaller size, which is just 20 pixels. So we have a smaller font now. And what do we want to draw is a string. And the string that we are going to draw, it says press enter to restart. Okay. We say do that. And where to put it? Put this string 230 pixels from left margin or left border, and at 350 pixels from the top of the game. There it is. So once that code is in place, we start the game. And when the ball falls off the screen, we get game over, score 0, press enter to restart, right? We can continue to move the slider here because we didn't do any logic around it. But pressing the enter key doesn't really start the game. So now we write the logic to restart when the user presses enter after the ball falls off the screen, right? Let's do that. So where do we do this? Now we need to listen for the enter key event, right? The user has pressed enter key or not. So we'll come to our key pressed method in the gameplay. So we're handling right and left. Now we'll handle the enter condition. So if e dot, uh, well, uh, we have to be careful here. Is if the user presses enter at any random time, then the game should not start over, right? Let's say the game is already running and the user hits enter, we should not restart the game. But if the ball has fallen off and then user hits enter, then we should start the game. So somewhere we need to find out when it is right time to restart. So one thing we did was when the ball fell off the screen, we set the play flag to false. So we'll say only when the play flag is false. So remember, if condition only goes through when the condition is true, but as our play has been set to false up here, the only time to it will go in is when we say not of the play. So we're saying not of false is true. That's when if condition will execute. And so not only the game is stopped, the user has entered, pressed the enter key. So we'll say e dot get key code, and if that code is equal to the enter key, event we get, right? So if these two conditions are true, then what should we do? Let's initialize the game all over. Remember, we had this method which starts over, it resets default values and all that. So let's initialize the game. Now, what do we want? What I mean by that is when the game is over and the user hits enter, should the game start or should it start with a pause condition? So let's say when we run the program, see how the game starts like such, right? It waits for the user to hit a key before it can start. So when the game is over and user hits enter, so let's say if when the game is over, user hits enter. How do we want the game to start? Should it start with a frozen screen, how it starts the first time, or should the game start playing? Right. So when we hit enter, see how the game starts with a frozen screen and it waits for the user to press a left or right key. So just doing that initialize is going to leave us in the situation that the game starts with a frozen screen. But if we want the game to start right away, we go and set the play flag to true and we do a repaint. We say, okay, we want the game to start, let's do a repaint. So now when you run the program after those 2 lines of code, and when the game is running and it falls off the scoreboard, the game panel, and if you hit enter, the game starts for you automatically. It won't start with the frozen screen. All right, so it's a personal choice. That's what I thought was a better way. But if you think frozen screen is better, just delete these 2 lines. All right. So now we have our game when the ball falls off. We have taken care of that. Now the only thing remaining is to put the brick on the game, right? The brick wall, and then somewhere to find like handle the interaction of the brick. So as the ball hits the brick should start breaking. So for that, let's first draw a bunch of bricks on the screen, right? So how do we do that? So brick generation is It's very interesting. It's because we'll see that these are all repeated pieces of graphic elements, right? So we need to do something for one, and then we can replicate for all of these bricks. Now, how many bricks are there? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns and 3 rows. So there are 21 bricks in total. So we need to do one brick right and then replicate it 21 times. Right? So for that, we'll create a class in our brick breaker package. Go create a new class and call it the brick wall generator. And so this brick wall generator will create a brick wall for us that we can use in the game. So as we have 7 columns and 3 rows, it gives a hint that we will need an array. Now, what kind of array do we need? Well, the kind of array that we need is only to keep account of how many bricks have been destroyed by the ball already. So when the game starts, see how all bricks are available, but as the ball hits the bricks, they get destroyed, they get cleared out. So we need an array of array for 21 elements just to keep track of whether the brick at that position. So let me start the game again. Well, see how. Never mind. We're stuck in a loop. It'll keep going the same route. All right. So you can imagine this grid as so as you move from left to right, every brick is one index increment. So it is 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next row is 1, 0, 1, 1, right? So the inner from the coordinates 0 and 1, which signify x and y, which signifies the location of these bricks, they can become the indexes or indices in the array. So we'll create an array, and as we just need to keep a track of if the brick is hit by a ball or not, we can just make an array of Boolean, right? So Boolean, and then we can say a map of bricks, which is a double array. So if this is right, so Boolean is a good choice because everything will be false. We'll set to every time ball hits the brick, we'll set that value to true, and it would mean that the ball has hit the brick. But what I'll use is an integer. Why do I want to use an integer? Is because though our game is very basic as of now, the brick breaks in one hit. You can modify the game that the ball must hit a brick maybe 2 times before the brick breaks, right? So you can harden the brick by using a number, and then as every time the ball hits a brick, you can decrement the count and keep showing the brick while the count is greater than 0. The moment count is 0, which means the ball has hit that brick certain number of times, the brick will break. So you can add a lifetime or something of that kind to the brick if you have an integer type. That's why I use integer, but Boolean will just do fine in our use case. Now, all bricks are identical. So the brick has a height width associated with it. So we'll say public integer brick width. How wide is a brick? And we'll say public integer brick height. So we have these two variables. Now we'll have a constructor. So we'll say public brick breaker. The class name is brick wall generator. And why do we need a constructor? Because this wall generator that we are writing can be used to generate any wide or a wall with any number of bricks. So first we'll ask the user to tell us how many bricks they want. So the generator says, give me the number of rows and give me the number of columns, and then I can give you a brick wall of so many bricks in it, right? So, if given a row and column, how can we find the total number of bricks? The total number of bricks will be row times column. That's what it is, right? So in the game, we have 21 bricks is because it is 7 times 3, right? So we have 3 rows and 7 columns. So somewhere we need to store that. So we'll say public integer. How many bricks in the game? So we'll say total bricks. All right. Now, similar to how we have our ball and the slider classes, we have method called initialize. We'll repeat the same pattern here. We'll say public void ini, initialize, initialize, right? And in this case, initialize our game how? So initialize the wall generator to generate a brick wall of so many rows and so many columns, right? When we have the rows and columns, our total number of bricks become row times column, correct? We have that. How big is our map? Well, our map is also is a new integer. How many rows by how many columns? So we initialize our map based on that. Right? And how do we know that the brick has not been hit by a ball yet? So we'll, in every element of this double array, we'll put an integer 1. So if a value at a given row and column index is 1, it means that the ball has not hit the brick yet. But when the ball hits the brick, we subtract 1 from that location, and it becomes 0, which would signify that the brick is compromised. So for that, so remember all the primitive integer type array, they are initialized with 0 value in them. So they by default have 0 value in them. We'll put 1 into it. So how do we do that? We'll run a for loop for integer I is equal to 0 and for I less than map dot length, which will give us number of rows and then I plus plus. Same for the column, we'll say integer j is equal to 0 and j less than map. We'll take the first row and then we'll say whatever is the length of that, this is going to give us the number of columns, and then we'll say j plus plus. Okay, so this will allow us to go through every element of our array, and now we'll say our map I comma j is equal to 1. We're initializing our map with 1. Okay. Next two things we'll do is we'll define how wide and high the brick should be. Right. So we'll say brick width is equal to, we'll assume that this whole area here is 540 pixels, and that's a width, and height is 150 pixel. So this is the only area that is available for us to draw a brick on it. So it means if we keep increasing our rows and columns, the bricks will become tinier and tinier, because this is the only region that we are using to draw the wall. So we want our brick wall to be only 540 by 150 pixels. So if that's what it is, then how wide should each brick be? So each brick will be 540 pixels divided by number of columns. And what will the brick height? Brick height will be 150 pixels divided by row. Right, so this is how each brick will be. This is how we initialize our wall generator, and then from the constructor we'll say initialize, and then we'll pass a row and column. Okay. Everyone with me on this page? All right. So now we have the understanding of how we are going to keep track of what bricks exist in the game and if they are broken or not. The next is how do we draw the wall, right? So similar to how in the ball and the slider classes, we have this method called draw. We'll write a similar method here. We'll call it public void. We'll say draw, right? And it takes graphics object, but in this case, we'll say it's a graphics 2D object instead of graphics. So that's G, that's our pen. It's a two-dimensional pen that we have got. And using this G pen, we're going to draw the brick. Right? So we'll again get into a loop, integer I is equal to 0, I less than map.length plus for integer j equal to 0, j less than map at 0th index dot length. This is going to give us columns j plus plus. We go through the entire array and we say if map whatever value at I comma j, if it is greater than 0, then we draw that brick, else we don't draw the brick, right? So we'll say, how do we draw the brick? So first, now we have this pen, we need to set a color to it. So we'll say set color, and in our game, we have the bricks as white bricks, right? So we'll say color white. Okay. Now, when we have that, we'll say g dot fill rectangle. So our bricks are rectangular. So we'll say where to go and draw the brick. So whatever is the index I, we multiply that with brick width. And we add 80 pixels to it, comma I into brick height plus 50. So this is the XY coordinate that we are setting. And now we'll say when you go to that XY coordinate, do the width and then brick height. So go to this I times brick width plus 80 and brick height plus 50 coordinate, and then draw a brick of whatever height and width we have decided, right? Okay, so we have that. Let's we'll come back to this method, but for now let's go to our brick breaker gameplay again. Go to gameplay, and now let's draw the wall and see how it is looking as of now. So to do that, we need an object of a brick wall generator, right? So at the very top, where we have the ball and the slider, we'll create a object for the wall generator, right? So we'll say, well, it should have been private. I don't know why I forgot, but it should be private ball and private slider. And we'll say private brick wall generator, and we'll call it wall generator, right? That'll just make it easy to type it quicker. So this generates the brick wall. Okay. We have that, but we have declared the variable. We have not initialized it. So similar to how we are initializing, so how do we initialize it? So similar to see here how we have initialized the ball and the slider, we are going to initialize the wall generator as well. So we'll say our wall generator is new brick wall generator, right? Well, in this case, our constructor takes two parameters, the row and the columns, right? So we'll say 3, 7, because that's how a brick wall should be. And then once we call the constructor, we are almost ready. Essentially, the only thing remaining is we go to the initialize section of the gameplay, and we'll say wall generator dot initialize 3,7. So we really don't need to do that. We don't need to add this line because in our constructor, we already are calling the initialize. But the reason why it is added here is because when we restart the game, we call the initialize method. So when we call that, then the constructor is no more called. That's why we need to explicitly put this line here. But for the first run, it may actually not be required. All right, so now we have our wall generator initialized. Let's go to the paint and see how we are saying draw the ball, draw the slider. Similarly, we'll say draw the wall generator. Right? It kind of looks like it's going in the flow. So we'll say wall generator dot draw G. We have a problem here. The problem is our G, the pen here in gameplay, is of type graphics. But the pen that we need in the wall generator is graphics 2D. So IntelliJ is giving an error that I cannot convert a graphics type object into graphics 2D type object. So for that, we are going to typecast this into a graphics 2D. So we are saying, I know the risk of it. I want to typecast. I want Java to use my graphics pen as a graphics 2D pen. So what this does is it will draw the brick wall, right? Now when we have that, let's run the program and see what do we get. There it is. Why did that happen? Something didn't go right. All right, let's see what went wrong. Well, at least something is getting drawn, and whatever is getting drawn is not correct. So we go to brick wall generator.
Yeah, I think because of that map, 0 double line.
Oh. So what is not right here? Very interesting. Maybe this should be J. Okay, I think that's the problem. We were using both X and Y coordinates as I index. So see how I goes only from 0 to the row count. That's why we were seeing only 3 bricks because we had this at I. So for the fill rectangle, make it J times the brick width. That should fix the problem. There it is. Well, it doesn't look like a brick wall, but we have a band of white background. So what is missing here is the border. So what has happened is these are actually bricks because we know that we have set color white and we are just filling the rectangle at a time. But as they don't have border, they just one brick ends and next starts. So it gives an illusion of this being just a white square or rectangle, sorry. So let's put some border around our brick. So we'll come back here where we draw the brick, and now we're going to put the border. So we'll say set brick border. Okay. How do we do that? We'll try to set the border color black in. We'll try to set it black in color. Right. So first to do that, we need to change the color of the pen. So we'll say set color to black. Color.black, right? So now our pen is black colored, and we'll say G dot set stroke to new stroke, and we'll get 3 pixels. So this is how wide we want our borders to be, 3 pixels. Else it will be very fine border, and then it may just not even be visible. Um, that's why we give some width to the border, and then where should the border be? It should be all around the brick. So we say G dot draw rectangle. Um, See how at line 34 on my screen, it's a fill rectangle, whereas here we are saying draw rectangle, right? So we are not filling the contents of the rectangle with any color, but just around it. So we'll say J times, same as the previous math, we'll say J times brick width plus 80, comma, I times brick height 50 pixels, and then width, comma, height. Right. So what we're doing here is we're just going and drawing a rectangle around the same dimension that we filled with white color. So on top of the white color brick, we're just putting a black square, like a hollow square. So that'll act like a border. Voila, there it is. We got a brick wall. Our game is taking shape. That's good. Let's play the game, see what happens. The ball just goes through the brick wall. It doesn't hit, it's not breaking any of the bricks, right? Okay, so let's add the logic of breaking the bricks. So how do we find out if the ball has hit the brick or not? So remember when last session we were trying to implement that when the ball hits the slider, we change the direction of the ball. Similarly, and the way we did that was by getting a rectangle around, by drawing a, not really drawing, but getting a rectangle of same shape as ball and the slider, and we try to see if those two rectangles have an intersection. So if the rectangles intersect, it means they are touching each other. Similarly, we'll take the rectangle of the ball and we'll see if it intersects with the rectangle of the brick. If both rectangles are intersecting, it means the ball has hit the brick, right? So that's how we are going to determine if the ball has hit the brick or not. So for that, how do we do that? Okay, so we go back to gameplay again and see the action performed. This is called every time the timer expires. So this is every 8 milliseconds or something. This gets called. So here, this is where we move the ball. And then when we move the ball, we want to check if it has hit the brick or not, right? So we'll put our code right after this. So how do we know if the ball has hit a brick or not? So every time when the ball moves, we'll go over the entire map of our bricks and see if it is hitting any particular brick in the whole map, right? Because the ball might hit the brick anywhere in the wall. Right? So it's not necessarily always starting at the 0th brick. It can be anywhere. So we scan through the whole brick array matrix, and then we find which brick is the ball intersecting with. So how do we do that? We again get into a loop. So we'll say int I is equal to 0, I less than wall generator dot map dot length. So we get the number of rows from here, and we'll say I plus plus. Again for int j is equal to 0, j less than wall generator dot map dot at the 0th index dot length. This is going to give us number of columns and j plus plus. So I will keep track of rows and j will keep track of column. So now if a brick is present where the current ball location is, it's a collision, right? We'll say if a brick is present at ball's location, detect, well, thing is, it's not only the collision happens only when there is a brick at a certain index. Now, let's say if the ball has already broken a brick, and then as the ball moves, it may go to the same place where there used to be a brick earlier, but now there will not be a collision, is because there's no brick anymore. So first, the brick must be present at the location where the ball is. So we'll find out if the brick is present or not. So if ball generator dot map I comma j, is it greater than 0? Is there a brick or not? Right? So if it is greater than 0, then there is a brick. But if it is not greater than 0, then there is no brick. We don't need to find any collision. It's a happy path. Okay, so now we have determined there's a brick there. Now, so we'll say integer. Now here is a math for finding a collision. So we'll say whatever brick is present, get me its x coordinate. So what is a brick x? That is j times the brick width, wall generator dot brick width plus 80. How do we get this? Remember in the brick generator, that's what we did. This is our x, is j times brick width plus 80. J times brick width plus 80, right? What is our y? I times brick height plus 50. So we are doing the same thing here. So if you want to find the I, what will it be? Brick y is equal to I times wall generator dot brick height plus 50. We're doing the same math here as well, but we're storing it in the variable so that it makes it a little easy to make the math clean essentially. Integer, what is brick width? Brick width is generator dot brick width. As simple as that. And brick height is equal to generator dot brick height. So we're just making a copy of those values here. Now we will try to get a rectangle for where the brick should have been. So how to get a rectangle? We'll say a rectangle rect is equal to new rectangle. And what are the dimensions? So dimension is brick x comma brick y comma width height. So now we have the rectangle for the brick. Now we also have rectangle for the ball. So we'll say rectangle ball rect is equal to, how do we get the rectangle for ball? We have a method for that. We'll just say ball dot. Right? So that makes life easy. All right. So we all are on the same page, right? Instead of, okay. So now next step is to detect if there is a collision. So how do we do that? So we say if ball rectangle dot intersects with the rectangle of the brick, then there's a collision. So what do we do when there's a collision? We'll say, remember our each brick has a value of 1 in there's a value of 1. So when there's a collision, we need to set it to 0. So how do we do that? Well, we can just either update, we can say map, well, this is wall generator dot map I comma j equal to 0, right? That's the easiest we can do. Or we can create a method in the wall generator and say set brick value and then set it to 0, right? So either way. So we just create a method just for the sake of it, for sake of practicing. So we'll create a method. We'll say brick void set uh, brick value. What should be the value? Integer value. And at what location should this value be set at? Integer I, comma integer j position. What will this do? This will simply go to map I j and set the value. That's it. Simply whatever we were doing. Right. So, well, actually, there's a catch to this. Why do we? Okay, so what has happened is now, once all the bricks are broken in the game should stop. Correct? When the user has destroyed all these bricks, the game should stop. How do we know if all the bricks have been destroyed? So we have this variable, total number of bricks. So if that total number of bricks becomes 0, it means there are no bricks to break. Now, when will this number decrement? Is every time when a brick is broken. Now, when the brick breaks, set brick value is called. At this point, we can say if the user is setting the value to 0, then total brick count, one brick is destroyed, it means, right? So it's as simple as that. So now we go back to our gameplay. And then instead of, so earlier we had to do that, and then we should have done wall generator dot total bricks minus minus. But then it's very easy to forget. So it's better to kind of have methods and do the heavy lifting, even if those methods do very trivial things, right? Because it makes our code simpler. So we'll say wall generator dot set brick value. What should be the value? 0, comma, where at index row I and column j. So we are saying here that the brick has been destroyed. Now, every time a user destroys a brick, we give the user a score of 5 points. So the score must increment by how much? By 5 points. Right? Now there's so now there are a few things here. For that, let's play this game a little. See how when there's like see when the ball hits the brick head on, then it just bounces back. But when it hits the wall on the, see how it comes back from hitting it, it'll just come back. But when it hits it on the sides, then the ball kind of bounces around. It just doesn't come back right away. It just bounces around, and then see now in that case you'll see how it bounces around, right? So we'll have to figure. So there are two ways in which ball interacts with the wall. One is it hits the wall at a certain angle, wherein the ball is just bounced back. But sometimes, especially on the edges, when the ball hits the brick wall, it bounces around before coming back to the slider. So now the math that we're going to do is just going to detect that condition. So how to detect that is if ball dot ball's position x plus 19 is less than equal to our rectangle that we have dot x or ball dot ball position position x plus 1 is greater than or equal to brick rectangle dot x plus rectangle dot width. right? So that will detect the edge condition. If that is the case, then what do? You simply reverse the direction of the ball in the x direction. So ball our direction x is equal to minus ball dot ball direction x. So we just reverse the direction of ball in the x plane. Else, if that's not the case, what do we do? If that's not the case, then reverse the direction of y plane. So we'll say ball uh, dot ball direction y is equal to minus ball dot ball direction y. So we have flipped the ball's direction in the y plane. When that happens, now let's say if a ball has hit a brick, do we need to check what is going to happen? The ball is going to change its direction, right? See, it has changed the direction. So ball is going to, we'll have to wait for the ball to make its next move in whatever direction it has changed. So we don't need to go through the entire loop again. Now, once there's a collision, we change the direction of ball and then we wait for the ball's next move before we again check if it is colliding with other bricks or not. So for that, we need to exit the loop. Now, how do we exit the loop? The one way we have learned is we call break. But what break does is it will only it will only take us out of uh, um, this the first for loop, but we need to completely exit out of the second for loop. So there's a mechanism. It is by providing a label. So we say a, it can be any label, but we'll just call it a colon and then put a space there. And then we say break to the label a. Now, when this condition is, when there's a collision, we change the direction of the ball and we exit out of the loop. And now we'll wait for we'll wait for the ball to move, which happens when this method gets called. And again, when the ball moves, we'll see if there's any collision or not, right? So this is a neat trick to exit out from a multiple loop, to exit to a certain point in the code. So we put a label there, a colon, and then from here we say break a. So it will just, when the code hits that, it will bring us back there. All right, let's run the program and see what happens.
Go back to brick wall generator for a second.
Yes.
The code at the bottom. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So once we all have everything written so far, go ahead and run the program. And there it is. So we have our game. Boom. Now it's breaking the brick wall. And you can change this game to kind of have brick breaks only when the ball hits the brick a certain number of times, and every time it hits a brick, it can change the color. So from white it will just turn into maybe orange and then red and then finally disappear. So you can do all of those things pretty easily. Right? So this is a very basic game that we have. Now, one thing we haven't taken care of is what happens when all the bricks are gone. So when user has destroyed all the bricks of the wall, then the game stops, right? The game should be stopped and an option should be provided for the user to restart the game. So now if I ever break everything, see, the game doesn't stop for me because we don't have that logic yet. Next thing, which is most likely the final thing in this game, is to put that logic. Let's do that so that the game can stop gracefully. Right, so how do we know that the game, all the bricks have been broken? So remember, we have we have this total brick count, and we decrement that every time a brick is broken. So when all the bricks are broken, then the count should be less than 0, right? Or I mean, it should be less than equal to 0. It should be, in fact, equal to 0. Less than is just for the sake of safety purposes. So now here we'll put the logic of finding that out if all the bricks have been destroyed or not. So why do we want to put it above checking, above checking if the ball has fallen off the screen or not? Is because when all the bricks are broken, we have a winner, no matter if the ball falls off the screen after that or not. So breaking all bricks takes precedence. That's why we'll put it first. We'll first check if in our map, in the brick wall generator dot total bricks is a count. We check for equality, but just for heck of it, we'll say if there are no more bricks left, it means all bricks have been destroyed. Correct? That is. So what happens when all the bricks are gone? So the game stops. The game false. Stop. And where should in which direction should a ball continue to travel? It should not travel in any direction. So we'll say ball direction x is 0 and ball direction y is 0. So it is not traveling in any direction. What do we want to tell the user? So we want to print the final score, and then we want to say press the enter to restart the game. We'll say for that we'll change the color of our pen. We'll say set color to red, and as we want to write a string, first we need to set a font. So we'll say set font. What is a font? Similar to how we used earlier. We'll say new font, CRF. Choose a bold font. 30 in size. So when we have the font, we'll say g dot draw string. Say final score should be that. And where should we print this? We'll just show it at 190 pixels from left border and 300 pixels from the top border. At that location, we show final score, and after that, in a smaller font, we'll say press enter to restart. So we say g dot set font. As the font has changed, we'll have to do a new font. If we were printing in the same font that we printed final score, we don't have to do this step. The only reason why we're doing it every time is because we're changing the font size. We'll say that, and our font is bold. And what is the size of the font this time? 20. And we'll say g dot draw string. The string is press enter to restart. Okay. Where should we show this? We show this at 230, 350 pixels. No, 350. There it is. Now, when you play the game, in fact, when the game gets done with, which I'll not keep playing, but essentially user will be shown the screen with total score and all that. All right. So this is a quick, simple Java-based game that we just completed. Any questions? The ball fell off the game. All right. Do any of you have any questions? No questions. Okay. All right. So that is it. Our game is working. And if your code is not working, then reach out to PK, and he can find a way to share this as is, or just let me know now, and I can paste it in the document that PK shared, and we all can copy from there. If if nothing else, then I'm open to questions if you have any, and I'm going to stop the recording.